You know never to turn your back on me.
I'm not in the mood.
Mood. Mood's a thing for cattle and love play.
What did you just say? A huge thanks to Razer and NVIDIA Studio for sponsoring this video. And be sure to stick around if you guys want to know more about the world's fastest laptops built for creators. Oh no, nope.
So the new Dune movie has tons of incredible visual effects work from a huge team of amazingly talented artists, but they missed out on the most critical thing from the story. They didn't have the frickin' vomiting alien worm pigs.
Something that I was kind of disappointed in, that they didn't have the worm
Shields! The shields in the new Dune movie were so non-blocky. It left me with so much disappointment that I couldn't help but find my mind wandering and wondering. What would these people look like with proper shields?
It's like, what happens if you took that action scene that was well choreographed and you covered it with blocks, so you couldn't see what's going on?
With the popularity of Minecraft these days, how do you not take advantage of that? You know, how do you go away from the blocks when the blocks are a hot commodity, okay? Everyone's blocking right now. Blockchain! Get on the block train, y'all.
So these shields are an example of something from the book that are done in two very different ways. So let's start by looking at the shields from the new Dune movie. So I will say that, I know we're doing a bit about the shields and all, but like, the new shields are pretty sweet.
Yeah.
They're very tastefully done.
Yes, it's very clear what's a hit with the red color and the blue color indicating when the shield is working.
We've talked about how this effect is done on Visual Effects Artist React before. It's literally you just rotoscope your character, you tint it completely blue or completely red, and you offset it, maybe add a little bit of a scale wiggle to it. Anytime their hits make it through the shield, you get that red hit. Very classic, it's visually communicating what's going on very effectively. Now let's take a look at the original Dune movie shields, the masterpiece.
Let's take a look at some effects that took literally a year to make. And there's
Oh man, look at how good those shields look.
Oh man. Yes, it's so good.
Look at that cube jump.
This I get, like I get that they're safe behind these shields. I understand that.
And it's just, you can just tell how time-consuming that was to do. Back then, in the 80s, there were no 3D programs.
They wanted to emulate the sort of 3D look that you would get in, say, a movie like Tron, but they didn't have the knowledge or the ability to actually deliver that sort of 3D effect, so they did it all by hand, manually, with rotoscoping out squares and rectangles. So this was all an optical process that happened for real through like a film gate and exposing it on camera after they cut out their little pieces of film. That means every single stroke, every single outline was made from scratch for every single frame. Anytime you see the black line, that's not like an intentional black line that they put in there. That is an artifact from the rotoscoping that they did, because when you rotoscope something, it's literally the process of cutting out like one rectangle from the film, exposing it with something else to achieve this sort of optical thing. But when they put it back up, you have to align it perfectly. Because when you don't align it perfectly, you end up with what you're seeing there, that black line.
And you can also see that on each of the surfaces of the cube, it's refracting the light behind it differently.
It's like an offset.
Right?
So it's like a little offset on every single plane.
It's not like an actual refraction either. It's just like, oh, this layer behind this face is gonna be shifted this way.
Yeah, just a
this
positional
layer, we're
offset.
just gonna scale up a little bit. David Lynch is a genius. He has never done anything wrong. And in fact, he was robbed of his artistic vision when they made this new hot garbage of a movie. So to fulfill David Lynch's original genius vision, we're going to take his idea of adding these cool shields to the new Dune movie to preserve his legacy forever.
That's motivating.
All for you, Lynchy.
Yeah. Throw two up in the air. Is he dead?
No, he's alive.
Oh, I was scared for a second. Throughout this process, we'll be using the awesome Razer Blade 17 laptops, which are powered by NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3080 Ti's. This is the first Ti GPU to come in a laptop form factor. I'm predicting some long hours spent on these effects, so these laptops will prevent us from getting stranded at our desks the whole week, while still maintaining the same performance we've come to expect from our desktop PCs. That's because NVIDIA GeForce RTX 30 series laptop GPUs power the world's fastest laptops. Plenty fast to render out these cube shields.
So honestly, this is just an excuse to explore how these effects were made back in the day using new techniques. You were saying you wanted to do this manually? Are you crazy?
You're a maniac.
So listen, guys, I know y'all are gonna use your fancy, VFX 3D programs, but I want to try it the way it was actually done.
You gonna do it on film?
Okay, maybe not entirely how it was actually done. But I want to painstakingly, frame by frame, go in and try to match the look of this completely in 2D.
So how are we gonna do it then?
I mean, shoot, I'm going 3D. I'm not, let's use what the good Lord gave us, I say.
All right, guys, put your hands in. Okay.
Slower. Yeah.
Actually feels pretty good. We got like a little, I don't even know, dude. It's like a little Minecraft wannabe.
Dude, they literally face through each other.
Oh, damn.
So, we've got about 15 shots to do within this week, and it's already Tuesday, so gotta try and find the quickest possible workaround to get these things done. I'm avoiding any and all camera animation, any and all camera tracking. I'm going purely eyeball, kind of hand animating a skeleton over the important keyframes to get something like this. That said, it is weird spending this much time making a fight scene objectively worse. That's something I'm still coming to terms with. For any parts of their body that break out of kind of the larger boxy body shield, oh man, this is crazy. And then anytime they I keep seeing you in my peripheral.
Hey, you just wish you looked like this. Because I do too. This is a very weird experience wearing this, and if you want to find out more, subscribe to quarterdigital.com. Son of a Dungeon, Season 2. It's happening.
I created just some simple box geometry around each of these skeletons and parented it to the appropriate part of the body. I used like some light weighting system to just bend the boxes in an appropriate way to get something like this. Right now I've got this all modeled and animated. The issue is we've still got a lot of individual boxes clipping through each other, and we don't want that. So I'm gonna convert all of these boxes that pertain to each of these characters into what is called an SDF, which is a signed distance field, which only worries about the surface. All of the geometry inside will be removed, which solves our problem. Because again, if we make this refractive and we make this transparent, you're gonna see the corners of all the boxes inside the boxes, and we don't want any of that. We only wanna worry about what's peeking through the surface. So I'm gonna convert these into a volume, and then I'm going to mesh that volume, meaning I'm gonna convert that volume back into geometry. And what that will do that's really cool is it will soften the edges, it'll curve them, and again, remove or cull any of the geometry inside the boxes, which is exactly the aesthetic we're going for. Now that I've done this portion, I need to move on to the actual texturing and lighting and rendering of this, just to make sure that it's working as intended. So let's see how that looks.
This is my first time watching this right now, and I like it. That's
Do you?
cool.
Okay, great, great.
It actually looks like glass.
There still needs to be some compositing done on this to like bring it home, because it still feels a little too crisp and like high resolution,
I'm really digging this effect. This is looking good, because it's totally got that original movie aesthetic going on, but it has like a modern sheen across it.
Yeah.
Well, if you boys, this is great and all, and it looks all modern and futuristic and all that, but if you want the old school way with all the jank included, I got something for you right here.
Okay, I gotta see this.
Yeah.
So you spent the entire day yesterday working on how many shots? 5, 6, 7?
I spent the entirety of yesterday working on one shot. But I got it done! I got the shot done! I got the shot done.
You know what, before I say anything more, I wanna see the shot.
Okay.
Let's take a look.
This is the shot.
Dude, aesthetically, you're on point, dude. I do love your work with the hang coming out with this little knife.
Thank you. It had to twirl. Like the twirling was like ruining my life. A lot of yesterday was figuring out how the aesthetic's gonna look. As soon as I added the sheen, I was like, oh, this is This is the Dune effect.
So great, this means that now you can just copy and paste this onto the next shot, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, not at all.
Why?
Because, here, let me show you why. Let me show you why. As you can see,
whoa.
every shot is at a slightly different angle, and the geometry like looks different. It's from a different perspective, so I have to create the shape from scratch. It truly is like a mind-bending animation to think about 2D shapes in 3D and try to like simulate a 3D look. It's hard enough to do in After Effects. I can't imagine how they did it on film.
I've always thought that like we as VFX artists are in the game of like poor deals where we trade a lot of our time for just a little result. And this feels like it really captures the spirit of that, where you dedicated like 8 hours to...
It's like 2 seconds, maybe.
Well, like, that's one of the longer ones then, I'm guessing. Oh, no, it's not.
No, it's not. No, it's like a short one.
I'm trying so hard to be an optimist for you, man.
Okay, well, you know what? I think this is very good progress. You've gotten 1 shot out of 15 done, and you got 2 more days.
Oh, good Lord.
Cubes within cubes within cubes within cubes.
Hey, Matt. Just want to check in on you, buddy. Just checking in. How you doing? You doing okay? How you doing, buddy?
Yo, what's up, dude? Figured I'd get out of the office for a little while, get some fresh air, you know? Because why stay in that musty office? No point, right? If you can work remote, you may as well do it. So I'm just chilling, doing my thing in 3D. Ah, the birds are chirping. I got a couple nostrils full of fresh air, and it's all thanks to this baby right here, the Razer Blade 17. It's got a built-in NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3080 Ti. That's some friggin' desktop computing power right there on my lap. These beautiful Razer Blade 17s are razor thin, but made of sturdy milled aluminum. The 17-inch display outputs at 144 Hz in 4K, and the same is true of its brother, the Razer Blade 15. This puppy's equipped with NVIDIA's GeForce RTX 3080 Ti, which is exactly what I need to get my work done quickly in Cinema 4D and After Effects. The NVIDIA GeForce RTX 30 series laptop GPUs power the world's fastest laptops for gamers and creators. And with rapid core scaling and CPU optimization, I can kick these Cube Shield renders out 7 times faster than the latest MacBook Pro 16. So having a fast machine is super important, especially with these kinds of renders, because there's a lot of different passes to send out for these shields to look the way that I want them to look. The first pass is obviously our main box geometry, right? It's the refractive glass. But with that geometry, it gets a little muddy when they're turning, when they're rotating, when they're moving all quick. You can't really tell where the edges of the box are. And the reality is, they didn't choreograph this scene thinking about giant cubes wrapped around the actors, with good reason. So as I was building these boxes around them, they were intersecting a lot, and it started to look a little weird. So I thought, maybe we use that to our advantage. We somehow turn that into a hit effect. So what I was thinking was, I've already converted all of this geometry into a volume. Well, I can go ahead and I can use those volumes and I can bool between the two. Booling is taking one piece of geometry and using it to affect another, whether that be subtracting where they intersect or making it so that only the intersections exist, which is exactly what I did. So we have Paul's shield and we have Gurney's shield, and anywhere where they intersect, it deletes all information, it deletes all geometry except for that collision, which is fantastic, because what I did is I rendered that out and I added it on top of the comp as a glow. So in a way, you actually have a realistic intersection going on that's composited back on top of the original render. Volumes and bools, baby. Volumes and bools, baby. We've got our refractive glass render, we've got our curvature render, we've got our intersection render. Now it's time to throw it all in the pan and stir fry up some magic. I used the geometry from these exports in order to make mattes where I could cut out certain sections of the background plate, and I turbulently displaced it.
Turbulent displacement, turbulent displacement when I'm curving on your face, man.
Just like in the original, where you've got some warbling of the actors encased inside of these boxes. I then threw on the curvature as another additive layer to add glow and definition to the edges of the boxes. And as a last little cherry on top, I decided to add some electricity when the hits were taking place, kind of an homage to the original. The idea when I started this was to make it look as similar to the original as possible, but halfway through I changed my mind. So this is kind of, in a weird way, a modern take. I took some creative liberties. I hope David Lynch isn't too mad at me. And if he is, well shoot, dude, that sucks. I cannot imagine having to do this the way the original artist had to, completely in 2D.
Matt, are you okay, dude? Just pee yourself?
Oh, yeah, man, I'm fine. Oh, Jesus. I just had to get away from that office, the desk. There's so many cubes around. You may think that I'm being dramatic with this, but there's a reason why this is soul-crushing, and I didn't realize how hard it was until I actually went to execute it. Luckily, with this Razor Blade 17, I can crush my soul from the comfort of my own bed. So let's get into it. The original techniques required them to draw every frame onto pieces of film and then transfer those onto a master film. Well, we're not going to be able to do that. That's ridiculous. That'll take months and probably kill me if I had to do that. So for these purposes, if we're doing it in After Effects, we're going to create a network of shape layers that are rigged, and I can animate each point independently, and it all moves together so that we can animate across time. First step, we're going to create a shape layer around this sword. And now we have to think about the perspective of the objects in relation to the camera. Okay, so in this case, it's sort of angled away from the camera slightly. So I'm gonna create a new shape right here. This is our foreground plane and then our side plane. So we're basically just creating our fake 3D geometry. But we gotta do something with them because they're not connected to each other. So I have this plugin, Puppet Tools 3.0. I don't think I'd be able to do this without this. And it creates 4 nulls that are parented to each of the points in my shape. I can take those nulls and I can control the shape outside of the shape layer. And we need to parent each corresponding null together, essentially binding the corners of our shape together to form a fake 3D cube. So, once I have it rigged, I have to move every little piece of geometry here, every little corner for every single frame. Once you have a shape done, you're like, basically you climb up to the top of the mountain, you're like, oh good, I did it. And then you see that there are like 20 other mountains in this one shot. This is just for a 1-second shot. We have about 239 layers. I'm just gonna say that again. We have 239 different layers that are either controlling shapes or they are shapes themselves. It's actually incredibly hard to do this, and I'm kind of going crazy here. I literally dreamed about this, and then I woke up thinking I was still at work. It gets in your head, man. These shapes get in your head. They literally do. Anyway. So once we have our base animation for all these layers, we have a couple of effects that we're applying here that basically makes it look transparent and gives it this sort of like heat wave effect. Believe it or not, there's a plugin at Red Giant Universe called Heat Wave, so it kind of helps us out a lot. We just slap that on, make it look pretty close to the original. Light hits the surface of 3D geometry different, right? So you need to adjust for that with curves. Basically, I darken some of the surfaces to give it sort of this fake 3D look. One last little touch here that really helps sell this thing. I add a little bit of a light hit, creating another shape that basically just moves across the surface. It basically just creates this look as if light is being reflected off of the geometry. It's something that they do in the original a lot, and I really wanted to include that. I think the more that I do it, the more respect I have for what these people did. With no computers, they did this entirely with film transfers, just painstaking labor, frame by frame. I really respect it. And it also gives me a deep hatred for David Lynch to ever ask this of his animators. It's so mind-numbingly difficult. But thanks to these Razer Blade 17 laptops, I was able to get the job done from the comfort of my own bed. So if you guys are interested in learning more, click the link in the description. Thanks again to NVIDIA Studio and Razer for making this video possible.
We're here today. We're all done, all wrapped up and ready to watch this thing. We had a ton of fun. And all that's left is to show it off a little bit.
Where's Matt?
You know?
Is Matt okay?
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a minute.
Let's go get him.
Yeah, I mean, we can go get him. Poor guy. Kind of concerned. Whoa! Dude, are you sick too?
Yeah, I don't know how I got sick. That's kind of unrelated, but...
Oh, buddy. Come here, come on.
Yeah.
Are you good?
Yeah, no, I'm fine.
We're
I'm
gonna
fine.
go watch
I just
it
didn't
all.
want to see the cubes anymore. Like, just so many cubes, so much
go, huh?
shapes and so... Look at that, the whole gang's here. Hey, guys.
Dude.
I'm fine.
Sit.
I'm good.
You used all your sick days though, so just remember that, okay?
You got it, boss.
Be paid if you go home.
I'm not gonna be paid. Yeah, it's okay.
So how are you guys feeling about what you've made? Did you guys finish it?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, there's essentially what there is Matt has prepared a 15-second, not 15-second. Is it 15
It's like
seconds?
15
Is
seconds.
it only 15 seconds?
Both
my
of us.
God.
Oh yeah, baby.
It feels so much longer in my mind.
I was hoping to do some of these effects, but it's okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at your thing first.
Let's do this thing.
Whoa.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow. That's saucy.
Yo!
Those are saucy. Wow.
I have you. I will look down, my lord. You to join me in death.
Wait, you did a title end sequence? You had time to do a title sequence at the end?
yeah.
That's why yours is 25 seconds.
This looks great, Jordan. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, like, I'm impressed. It's because it's totally that original Dune aesthetic, but with like glossy reflections and lightning and smoothness to it. I don't know how to describe it other than like, you have realized David Lynch's dream.
Yeah.
You have
doing the
brought
part.
his dream to fruition. I mean, I know he did it the first time, but like, you did it again.
Why is there aliasing in your box?
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yes, so I used volumes, right, to create the boxes, but because we were a little low on time, I couldn't do enough of a fine voxel resolution to get a consistent edge. I did some smoothing.
I just heard a lot of fancy words about rendering and stuff, but like, the original way to do it was like by hand.
Yeah, what is a render?
Yeah, what's a render?
What is that? All I know is shapes. So here are all of my most painful moments boiled down to about 15 seconds. Here we go. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yo.
Aesthetically, totally.
That-
Yeah, dude, electric! You son of a gun! You son of a gun!
Dude, this looks just like the movie.
That's amazing.
Like Jordan's is all swishy and shiny, but yours looks legit. You look so legit. You're like garbage shading, like
Trash. Yeah, it's literally just curves adjustments.
but it looks so good.
Yeah.
Wait, but these are like shape layers. You're just
They're just
trying to like make them look 3D.
Yes. There are 2D shape layers that I am creating like 3D space for. I'm just creating a dimensionality to these.
You're literally creating an optical illusion based off of like little rhombuses. Rhombi?
The electric too is great. Like that's very similar to the original.
Yeah, I tried to match it as close as possible to however, I guess they just scratched the film and colored it. I'm not sure
The
exactly.
hand-drawn electricity look from the 80s.
Oh man.
Yeah.
We've lost that one. That's
I know, right?
Yeah.
There's 7 shots in here. I believe it's 10 seconds?
No, 9 seconds.
9.
9 seconds. So you did 9 seconds in about 7 days. You are.
That's so insane. What the hell? Why did anyone do this? Who would think David Lynch, you are crazy.
You know what?
I'm not
You
clapping
did
that.
it! You did it!
Oh, dude, you did such an incredible job.
Insane.
Such a good job with that.
Man, this is like exactly what I was hoping for when we came up with this idea. I was just like, man, it would be nice to see David Lynch's shields in the new Dune movie, and you guys made it a reality. Hey, if you guys have any other examples of some old school visual effects that could maybe use a sort of modern reimagining, leave a comment down below. We'll take a look at it.
Yeah, especially if they'll prove to be really hard for Matt, because that's enjoyable for all of us here at Corridor.
Please torture me.